Hi everyone. Teng Boo from Capital Dynamics again. I hope you saw our video last week about this cafe called Kuantan Pickers, where it was pretty unusual, pretty unique, and if you can, take a drive to Kuantan and visit Kuantan Pickers. Today, our topic will be more investment focused. In fact, it will be very investment focused. I'm actually recording this from Penang, which used to be known as Pearl of the Orient. And I'm in Penang. Well, I came from Bangkok and arrived in Penang on Wednesday night. And I was in Bangkok on a research trip. I was in Bangkok last year, May, when they had the election. Remember, I said that I purposely went to visit Bangkok on the election day to see what the political mood is like. And nothing happened in last year. So in this recent trip, walk around, visited, of course, do my research, visited Thai companies, went to Chinatown, went to their flower market, all over the place. And Thailand is very peaceful. I mean, you don't have the political turbulence that they suffered from 2013 up to last year. That period in the Thai history seems to be gone. The current Prime Minister seems to be aligned with the party of the former Prime Minister Thaksin. So I think politically things should look up much better for Thailand. And also I think the ordinary Thais are fed up of talking about politics. You know, we met with some of the people there, and we wanted to talk to them about the political situation in Thailand, the political outlook. Well, basically they were not interested. You know, they said, well, they don't want to talk about politics. And the companies that we saw, like previously in May, many of them are actually more regional and potentially global companies. You find that they've expanded their businesses outside. There's one Thai pharmaceutical company that we saw, which has got big presence. I think their sales are already in the billions of bahts, and they've got production facilities in Thailand, in Australia, in Indonesia, and soon in another country. If you compare this particular pharmaceutical company with our Malaysian pharmaceutical companies, the Thai company is way ahead. They are strong in almost the entire Southeast Asian markets. They are strong in Sub-Saharan Africa, and so on and so forth. And then we also saw a very interesting Thai company, which I may mischievously said it as potentially the next Red Bull of Thailand. So when I asked the guy, I said, are you going to be the next Red Bull of Thailand? Well, he, of course, you know, he laughed. So that was a quick update on what Thailand is like. It was hot. I mean, it's like KL and Penang is really hot. But even then, the trip, this research trip of ours was helpful because we get to see many different aspects of Thailand. And this time we purposely used the two different airports, the BKK and the Dong Mang, just to compare and see what the two airports are like. And the two airports were full, and they have major expansion plans for these two airports. then we landed in Penang on Wednesday night, and Penang, Batu Kawan Island and Kulim is now seen as Silicon Valley of Malaysia. I guess in a way it's a region where you have the highest concentration of semiconductor related companies, whether listed or not, whether Malaysian or foreign. And the Penang Island, or particularly the whole part of Penang, I think that's huge potential. The Penang Airport has just received cabinet approval to undergo a long overdue expansion of about 1.5 billion. I hope they get that done fast, and not just the physical infrastructure being expanded. I hope Malaysia airports buck up and improve in their management of airports, because when we were about to leave the airport about 9:30, 9:40 p.m., there were only 2 flights arriving. One was from Guangzhou, the other one was from Singapore. But it took us like 20-30 minutes to get our car moving from the arrival road. And once you start moving, and once you get ahead of the arrival road, you find out there's actually no traffic. So the jam was created by people double parking, triple parking, no policemen inside. Malaysia Airport just couldn't be bothered. Which goes to show, I mean, the fact that they're going to put in 1.5 billion, it goes to show that things have been neglected for a long time. So for Malaysia, like Thailand, in the last 14 months or so, we have achieved some form of political stability. For developing countries like Malaysia, Thailand, for the economy to do better, for the stock markets to rally, you really need political stability. If you look at the Thai stock index, the Bangkok stock market index, from 2013, around that time when Thaksin's sister was ousted, 2013-2014, from that time up to 2024, the Bangkok stock market index just went up, down, sideways. It didn't go anywhere. In the case of Malaysia, the same thing. If you look at the KLCI, from about 2014, about the same time when Barisan won, but they lost a lot of seats, and when the 4th Prime Minister in 2014 start attacking Najib, then you have the beginning of political uncertainties, and foreign funds were from 2014 onwards, foreign funds were net sellers of Malaysian stocks. So at that time the peak was 1,900 points. That's about 10 years ago. Now we're about 1,005. So if you look at the Malaysian stock market and the Thai stock market, the pattern has been more or less the same. And there's one common feature: political instability. Now Malaysia, I hope in the last 4 years of turbulence and so on, those are a thing of the past, right? And if you remember, I did a video recording in Jakarta last year. I went to Jakarta December last year, also a research trip, and subsequent to that, Indonesia had their presidential election in February this year. And as I mentioned before, Indonesia has achieved something that many developing countries have not been able to. Their 2024 presidential election was conducted without any violence. There was no disruption. It was smooth, and it produced a clear-cut majority, Prabowo. So it looks like Indonesia is going to enjoy another at least 5 or maybe 10 years of political stability. And if you look at the Jakarta Composite Index from 2004, when SBY came in, from 2004, it has been, for the next 20 years, the Jakarta Composite Index has been going up in a more or less a straight line, except for 2 disruptions. The 2008 financial crisis created by America, and then the 2020 pandemic. If you strip away those 2 externally created market panic, the Jakarta Composite Index has been experiencing a rally for almost 20 years. That's what political stability can do for an emerging economy. But political stability is a necessary condition, but it's not sufficient. You need more than just political stability. You need good economic performance, you need good macro management, and of course you need to have the listed companies performing, producing corporate earnings growth. So I think what is interesting about ASEAN this time around, and one reason why we launched our ASEAN Fund in early November last year, is because you have 3 major economies, Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, all the 3 countries now having this critical political stability. And Thailand has a lot to catch up. The Malaysian economy, the same thing. All the 3 countries still need infrastructure investment tremendously. Jakarta has done much better than Malaysia and Thailand. You saw their high-speed rail launch, high-speed rail between Bandung and Jakarta launch, and it's become very popular. And then they have the Trans-Sumatra Highway all the way from Aceh in the north down all the way to the south. As that is about 60-70% completed. So with the political stability, with the ability now to invest in infrastructure, and the fact that tourism, one of the most important industry for Southeast Asian countries, it's recovering very strongly. And yet, even though tourist arrivals have picked up tremendously for many of these Southeast Asian countries, the tourists from China haven't come back in full force. We talked to the people in Bangkok, they said yes, there are a lot of tourists from China. We talked in the hotel in Penang, we spoke to them, they said yes, there are a lot of tourists from China, but the Chinese tourists have just begun to travel. So I think the situation facing ASEAN is pretty straightforward. I mean, I'm leaving out Singapore because, the political stability is there. Vietnam, because it's still a communist country, so you don't have to worry about political instability, policy changes, right? All these Southeast Asian economies are in a very fortunate position. In addition to political stability, you have a very important industry that's going to recover this year and next year, which is the global semiconductor industry. That is going to benefit Malaysia a lot, and Singapore to some extent, and Thailand to some extent. So if you look at it holistically, all the factors that are happening now are on the positive side. And like I said, there's one very important reason why we launched our ASEAN Fund, right? It's authorized in Australia, and I'm so optimistic that next week I'll be going to Melbourne. There's a big expo in Melbourne, and I'll be giving a talk on why Australians should invest in ASEAN. This is it's a coincidence, because just a week ago, Australia and ASEAN had a special summit in Melbourne, where Australia, the Prime Minister says that, well, Australia and ASEAN have very special relationship, very close ties, and many Australians do not realize that ASEAN is the second most important trading partner for Australia after China. So I think just take a tour for yourself, take a quick tour. From KL to Jakarta is very near, KL to Ho Chi Minh City is very near, KL to Bangkok is very near, Fly Asia, whatever is very cheap. And have a look for yourself, because in the 6 countries that we invest in, there are about 4,000 overlisted companies: Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, and Indonesia. There's a lot for you to choose, and actually it might be quite difficult for a retail investors to pick and choose the right stocks, even though the whole ASEAN region is going to face a very exciting future in the next 3 to 5 years. So if you believe in the era of ASEAN and you find that you don't have the time, the expertise, then just take a look at the iCapital ASEAN Fund. Go to our Australian website, www.capitaldynamics.com.au, and the details are all inside there. It was launched in end October, early November last year, so it's been about 4 months, 4-5 months, and the NAV has really appreciated about 5% in AUD. So I guess I don't want to be too long-winded. My keyword is think ASEAN, think positive. And I hope you share this interesting video that I've recorded, like it, and if you can, subscribe to our channel. Thank you and have a good weekend.